to be able to introduce to you the creative team, the masterminds behind the Dark Knight Master Race. Ladies and gentlemen, on this stage, Frank Miller, Andy Kubert, Klaus Jansen, and Brian Azzarello. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so is this on, guys?
No.
There we go. Okay. All right, so let the live sketching begin. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for being here. I know you guys have done a couple of shows.
This one.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I know you guys have done a few of these things together, and being able to go to shows, and because sometimes you all get kind of broken up, and like one of you will go to a show, another one will go to the show. Is it a little more gratifying to be able to all kind of share the spotlight together like this?
This is the last time we're going to do it.
Come on, you're having a good time, right?
I'm already getting a little sick.
Is that right?
No.
All right.
Well, we're done with the book. You know?
Yeah.
This is it.
In 2 weeks, we get the final issue, number 9. And I mean, I don't want to just tell us, you know, or say, just give us spoilers, but is there anything you guys can tease for us, like something to expect in that final issue?
Oh, wait till you see the last page.
The world blows up and everybody dies.
There we go.
You know, I've been saying since we finished the book, I've been saying that you guys are going to really love it. The ending to the main story, the ending to the mini comic is just terrific. I think you're really, really going to love it. And I think we all really were in love with how the book ended. No, except Ryan. Ryan hates everything.
Except like serious.
No, it's really terrific. I have no doubt, I have no fear that you guys are really going to love the ending. It's terrific. It's really good.
Yeah. I did want to ask, how initially did this idea come together and all you guys kind of work together? How did you guys figure out, like, the different pieces of the puzzle and bringing this project together? Frank, did it start with you? Who was the one that really kind of kicked off everything? Brian, you look like you want to say something really bad.
He did. It's his fault.
It's his fault.
I didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. The toys are too good. You can't stop playing with them. And I think when I came toward the end of the first Dark Knight, I was heading toward an ending where Batman died and they held police gunfire. And then I got closer to it and I just couldn't go there. It just didn't make any sense. I even gave Commissioner Yindel a line where she said, "I can't do it, he's just too big." But I figured, okay, this is it, I've done my Batman book and I won't go back there. And you know, then I got an idea for the second one. And went along and you know, at that point, you know, toward the end of that, I thought, okay, I've really done, this time I've used a ton of those old characters.
You killed a ton of those.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, I had to bring it up that way, but I figured the whole thing had wound down, but it just can't seem to stop this thing.
Yeah. And what was it, Frank, for you? I mean, like, Brian obviously has done some amazing work with books like 100 Bullets, and his Joker story was phenomenal. Was there a particular thing that made you say that this was the guy you wanted to collaborate with in terms of the writing on the book?
Oh, the whole thing was like pulling teeth. I mean, it's just, no. Brian's career speaks for itself. I mean, his stuff has been terrific for a whole long time. I first became aware of 100 Bullets and realized that he shared my love for crime comics. And as time went by and I saw his work on the DC heroes, we had conversations about a bunch of them, and many of them very funny. And just found a lot of common ground as far as where these characters could go. And the fact that our senses of humor combine well seems to serve us well.
And And Brian, you worked on some big stuff, but I mean, was this in some ways because of the fact that it was Frank and working on something that was so iconic as Batman in this particular way, was that a little bit nerve-wracking at first?
What do you mean at first?
All the way through the process?
All the way through.
But rewarding, I would imagine, at the same time.
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't, it wasn't intimidating or anything when Frank said, I want to do this. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a great collaboration between all of us. Just the whole thing. Yeah. I wish I had something to bitch about, but I don't.
Who were your favorite characters?
My favorite characters in the book are Lara. I have a real soft spot for that girl. And Yindel too. I like Yindel.
But not Hal Jordan, apparently.
There's something I got to tell you here about Hal Jordan. And this has to do with Dark Knight, and it has to do with the All-Star Batman series that I did with Jim Lee. So I had a conversation with Brian Azzarello about a century ago, and he and I were just talking about Green Lantern, and he uncorked the secret to Green Lantern for me. The Green Lantern only works if you realize he's not really bright. Because he's got so much power, he could conquer the universe and fix everything. And what he makes giant pliers. And in All-Star, I stole from Brian and did the dumb Green Lantern. And ever since that seems to have informed both our treatments of the character.
He's Johnny Knoxville to me.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Like, that's who got the power ring.
The Guardians of the Galaxy made a bad choice.
Now, Klaus, you have worked with Frank going way back into the Marvel days, working on Daredevil and things like that. What for you is the best part of being able to collaborate with each other? I'm sure you guys have a great symmetry working together.
When you work with somebody that's on the level of these guys, you really have to step up your game. And I think that for me, just as a creative person, put that in air quotes, but as a creative person, when you work with some people that are as talented as these people are, here on this stage, you have to step up, and I think the work becomes that much better. And for me, the work has always been the most important thing. So to be able to work with collaborators and artists and writers that are, on this very high level, is it's what you're in the business for. This is why you are cartoonists or creators. This is it. So it's a pleasure for me. I think, Andy, now you have to say something nice.
Klaus said something about it being work. It's not work at all. So, and as you can tell, when we come up here, we all joke around. We all get along. Some of us anyway. We all get along.
Except for me and Brian.
So, just working with everybody has just been a sheer pleasure.
Well, and Andy, you've worked on some amazing titles as well, but being able to work on a project like this, I would imagine that's kind of like one of the most incredible things to have something that is so monumental, coming off of the history that goes behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge. It's a pinnacle of my career. And as you said, I had done some big projects. I've worked with some big writers. But this one was different. The synergy with all of this, from the get-go, from day one, when we all met in Frank's house, there's an apartment there. You could tell that there was something there. And when the work started to work, I don't mean to say work, when we started on the project and the script started coming through, the pages started coming through, and I saw everything starting to click, they even saw it at DC, and they could even tell that something was happening. We even got it, heard it from Mark Doyle, our editor, and he said, we can tell something is special here, something is going on. So, it doesn't happen on believe me, it doesn't happen on every project. It's few and far between when it does happen.
I think one of my favorite moments in the story so far was Wake Up Kansas. I think it was just such a great moment. For each of you, do you have a particular moment so far in the story, and then we won't get into issue 9 because we don't want to spoil it, but is there a particular moment that really stands out to you as being like a favorite?
Yeah,
moment?
can I
Please,
say
yes.
first? Mine was in issue 8, Wonder Woman. That, when I was going through those pages and when we were laying that out, oh my gosh, it was phenomenal. It was great. Everything just clicked so well. The script was great. And when Ryan writes in the script, okay, when it breaks it down, it's not dense or anything like that. There's just a couple words for description. It leaves a lot up to me. So there's a lot of collaboration in with all of us here, and it just works so well between the story, the script. You know, it was just clicking on all cylinders.
You know, for me, I think there were two moments. One was the Wonder Woman Minotaur page, which I really loved.
That was
early on.
That was hanging up in my house.
I can give you Andy's address if you want to know. And then I got to say, you know, I'm not going to spoil the 9th issue, but the ending to the 9th is just wonderful. I really dug it.
I have a few. I guess I liked when Lara beat the snot out of her father. That one page where she's
Damn it.
he's like a skid mark across the snow. I like that. I liked when when the Flash's legs got broken.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I liked when Hal Jordan's hand got cut off. I liked when the Atom got stepped on.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
That's right.
All right, Frank, bring it home.
I like Superman in the big dumb suit
Oh yeah.
because I got to put him in a suit made out of lead with a lead spit curl on top of his head.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool things in this.
Yeah.
I want
Kryptonite Rain was awesome.
I want to come to one of these conventions to see somebody dressed up as Superman in a big dumb lead suit.
Frank, you've talked in other Q&As about one of the things that's so great about Batman is that he is a character that's so open to interpretation, and that there really is no wrong way to do it as long as you stick to the basic rules.
Well, they're all wrong ways, but
Right.
they're all too prevalent.
What in your opinion, like when you write Batman now, as opposed to back in the mid-'80s, you know, what is the biggest difference for you now in terms of your thought process?
He's not so damn pissed off anymore. You know, the Batman in the '80s was still just turgidly emotional and angry and frustrated and so on. And now he's a man of some accomplishment. And he's to put it simply, he's more mature and he's older. And he has been profoundly changed because through circumstance, he's taken on the role of a father, and he's raising and educating a brilliant young woman who's actually smarter than he is. He's been transformed by the whole Dark Knight series.
And I'm also curious on a project like this because, you know, Frank, you've done work with DC and Marvel, but you've also gone off and done things like Sin City and done independent projects. When you come back to something like this, how much freedom is there in terms of what you're allowed to do? Is there a lot of looking over the shoulder, or do they just kind of step back and say, we want you guys to handle this the way you think it should be done? How much freedom is there on the entire project? And this is for each of you, this is for everyone.
It's changed a lot. I mean, one of the early debates in Dark Knight is that they could not conceive of Batman not having a yellow circle around his Batman's chest. That was like tearing down the Vatican. And all I had to do was do a story where he got his costume ripped up and have him come back with the old one on, and it sort of slipped by. And then very soon, eventually that yellow circle vanished altogether. Things have loosened up a lot. The audience has gotten much more broad. I won't say older because what I love seeing is so many young readers are coming in. The audience has gotten a lot broader, and once they introduced the wonderful Batman Adventures comic, I I knew that we were on our way, because now there could be several different interpretations for several different age groups. So I think we're really on our way.
Yeah. I think Dark Knight kind of broke the mold for that. It allowed people to say, okay, we can do this for different age brackets. It doesn't have to just be one set.
I think it helped. It helped acknowledge that there were older readers of superheroes.
Yeah.
That there wasn't just superhero comics and the independent comics as two completely separate entities.
Brian, Klaus, and Andy, did you guys find was there more freedom on this project, or do you still feel like there's kind of that editorial thumb of the studio looking over your shoulder?
There was none. DC was great. Plus, we're all professional enough to know how far we can push it. There's certain things you don't do. It's not that you can't do them. It's like you have to be, have a certain amount of responsibility for the character.
It's absolutely true.
And, I was just going to say, I think Brian is exactly right, that I never felt that there was anybody looking over our shoulder. So in that sense, Frank is right, that things have loosened up quite a bit, from 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And I think we're all, responsible people. We treasure our careers, and we're not going to do something that is going to harm that. We understand where the parameters are, and so I think there's a lot of trust between us and the company, and going back and forth.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We know where the boundaries are, so we can push them.
And we push them a little further each time.
Yeah, but it's still,
And
I know how Batman's supposed to act.
Yeah, exactly. And to say it again, DC's been great. They've been extremely cooperative.
Yeah, they've been great. Yeah, they've really been great.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, I know you guys have questions. We want to get to some audience questions. Who would like to kick it off? We got one right here. Oh, I'm sorry, microphone right here. We've got a microphone right here. Come on up, don't be shy.
So my question would be, what are your thoughts on the criticism of Dawn of Justice, Batman vs Superman? Because I know some of it is based off most of the comic books that Dark Knight Returns. Just want to know your thoughts on that.
Look, let me say this. I've seen that, because it's been on HBO, for the last couple of weeks, couple of months. I've seen it a couple of times. I have problems with it, but I have to say that there are parts of it that I really, really enjoyed. I don't think we should take this too seriously, because the books are still there, and they are what they are. So we still have Dark Knight Returns, we still have DK2, we still have DK3, and those things remain untouched, and that's fine. I'm okay with it.
I liked it. I thought Wonder Woman stole it.
Yes.
I thought she was great.
I saw Wonder Woman the other night.
Yeah.
It's good.
Andy? Batman versus Superman.
I like Batman vs Superman. We went to the premiere. We had really, it was really good. I enjoyed it.
I was shocked at how much I enjoyed Ben Affleck as Batman.
I thought Ben was
brought
great.
a charm to it. I just, it was amazing. So, cool, thank you very much.
And you know what? Even if it got everything wrong, it's not the last time you're going to see those characters on the screen.
Right.
Like, how many different interpretations of Batman have we already had?
Just to underscore what Brian just said, think of a movie like you think of a comic. A movie is not a judgment by the rest of the world on us. It's one more attempt to interpret this stuff. And so if they blow it, they blow it. If they do a good job, they do a good job. Enjoy it when they do a good job.
Absolutely. Right here.
Hello. My question is for all of you guys. What is the number one Marvel?
Superman?
That is,
How are we going to beat up Superman in armor?
What's the number one Marvel or DC character that you guys would all like to work with that you haven't written for or illustrated
Ant-Man.
Would somebody be stepping on Ant-Man? Brian?
I don't know. Pick a bad one? Well, they're all bad to me. I don't know, maybe the Spectre. How's that?
I'd love to take a crack at the Inhumans. Those are some really darn good characters.
Well, there was one group of characters that I'm actually got my wish for is Challengers of the Unknown, which I'm going to be doing with Klaus. And the other one is that a character that I had done, and this was I said something about it in the VIP thing we just did. I want to have another crack at Sergeant Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And just telling Frank before, I got a vision, I know how to handle it. I'm not going to do what my father did. I have a specific thing, and I'd love to have another shot at it.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hello, this is for everyone. Was there one thing you wish you knew when you guys first started in your career field? Yeah, what was the one thing they wish they knew when they started?
Oh, what was one thing you wish you knew when you started in the business?
Oh, yeah, sorry, that you know now.
I wish I knew how to draw.
I can't think of any.
That's a good question.
It's too good a question for this guy.
There's all smoke coming out of our ears.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, I know.
Next question.
This is for everybody. What do you think of the DCU's progression compared to like Marvel's progression in the cinematic universe? Are they trying to rush it, or are they taking their time and building it up the right way?
I saw Wonder Woman the other night. It's good. Yeah, I don't know.
The way
Yeah, that is a bummer.
the way these movies work is that they have to be judged each one by each one. I mean, it's Marvel's had an uneven history, but they had that wonderful Iron Man movie, for instance, and and DC started out with about as big a bang they could with the original Superman movie. So it's you just really never know what's going to happen. The choice of producer and director are critical here. It's not, you can't think of the publishing company as being magically making these movies. The studio then picks the producer and the director, and those are the people who are the chief engines behind the movies.
So writers might not be.
The writers are very, very important, but I'm saying that the producers and directors are the ones with the most power. And so the writer is critical to the quality of the movie. But the director, in the way Hollywood works, has much more power.
Thank you very much. Next.
Hey there, I'm actually going to bounce off of Godfall Superman's question. Who's your guys' favorite DC or Marvel supervillain?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Joker. Lex Luthor.
The Red Skull.
Egg Foo.
Egg Foo.
Magneto? I don't know.
Bring it home, Klaus. What do you got?
I got nothing. The guy that comes to mind is the Purple Man, but I can't be serious about
Oh, that's a cool one. They did a whole comic about the Purple Man.
Thank you very much. Next one.
Hello. Just wondering, out of the 3 Dark
say the third one. Because it's the only one that worked.
I'm guessing you guys.
The third one.
Frank, what about you? These three different series, what's been the most rewarding for you?
First one. Yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
You know, I think the first one is obviously, you know, a trailblazer in a lot of ways. But the third one was the smoothest and the most fun for me. It was the
It was polished.
It just had, there were no bumps in the road. It was just absolute, you know, it was like eating cheesecake.
Yeah, I said the first one because I was talking about my personal experience with it. Because it was I was a kid in a candy store playing with all these dusty old toys and feeling like, you know, I couldn't believe how bright they were when I dusted them off. Making the Joker really crazy was a treat.
You know, and there's something also about being a little bit older, that you're able to deal with things better, and you're, you know, I hope, you know, you're smarter, your work is better. So, yeah, for all those reasons.
Thank you. Next.
Gentlemen, this is great being able to be here and see you guys. Just real quick, I just wanted to hear what were your influences for your particular art style, your particular form?
Influential artists.
Boy, there are a lot of them. I'll narrow it down to just a few, so you don't all fall asleep. But I'd say Jack Kirby and Will Eisner.
You know, the funny thing about influences is the influences are basically the artists and the writers, but in this case the artists that you're exposed to as a child. So if you have no access to, you know, Kirby, you're not going to like Kirby. But the people that I read when I was a kid was Wally Wood and Neil Adams, Steve Ditko, Milton Caniff was a big influence of mine, Joe Kubert, you know, those Gil Kane, a lot of those guys. I've been looking at lately a lot of Japanese art, trying to imitate that brush line that a lot of the Japanese artists have. So whatever is around, really, is a big influence. Andy?
I'm going to keep this short. It's just narrowed down to one. Just didn't only influence me on my art, but on my life, Joe Kubert.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Well, we all know that change is necessary for comics and for characters. What do you think was the most important change that y'all ever made to the character?
Go Robin.
Yep.
You know, I think when Frank and I worked on Daredevil, we really changed that character basically forever. It's never been the same. I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of the work that Frank and I did on that run.
What was the question?
Like, the most important change you made on a character, could it be like stylistically, anything like that?
Gosh, I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know if I did do anything on purpose, you know, and hopefully I didn't hurt anything, you know. I just go about doing things as I see it. You know? I don't do it on purpose, you know what I mean? So just to go ahead and do something, say, I'm going to change it this way, I'm going to change it that way, I don't head in that direction, you know? It's more or less the way the project dictates it, or the story dictates it, or the scene dictates it, you know? I mean, I handle Dark Knight a whole separate way, you know, because I wanted to keep it along what I thought Dark Knight should be. And that's how I handle every project, so that's how I do it.
Ryan, do you have anything you want to add?
Probably cutting off Hal Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Hi, I have a really strange question, and I'm probably going to embarrass my husband by asking this, but I am an RN in the mental health field, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. mental health is portrayed so negatively in a bunch of different, not just DC, but in many comic universes. Is there any way that you guys could see that we could possibly portray mental health in a different light that's more positive, so that we don't perpetuate mental health stigma?
What she's saying is that the way mental health is portrayed in comic books, and probably a lot of Hollywood media as well, is that's portrayed in more of a negative connotation. Is there a way that maybe you think that that could be influenced to be portrayed more positively in pop culture media?
It's certainly something to think about. Can it be? Yes. Will it be? I don't know.
Let me just say, I'm not, say, prepared to really address that particular issue to any great degree. It's really above my pay grade. But I will vouch for all of us and say that all four of us are very socially aware and socially conscientious, and we try our best, and that's certainly something that I think we'll file away and we'll work on it. I think that's a great question, and I think it's a great issue, and I agree with you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Hi. I was wondering, how do you feel about the gender bending of superheroes in costumes, in fan art, in fan fiction, sometimes in like actual published media?
I want to introduce a character called Genderbender.
Oh, come on, the gender bend.
Copyright and trademark, Frank Miller. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, and Frank, obviously, you were one of the first guys to do it with Robin, Carrie Kelly. I think that was a big step.
I just thought the costume looked kind of cool on a red-haired girl. That's all. But also, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Walt Simonson's great answer to a lot of questions, and I'm going to use it.
And just to say, I think that Frank doesn't get enough credit for being way ahead of his time. That was a pretty radical move at the time. And personally speaking, I'm relieved to see that our choices in terms of gender is no longer binary. It isn't just male-female, that there's a lot of other options out there. And I find it fascinating, I find it interesting, and it's perfectly fine with me.
The thing is, what we don't want to do is a 1970s, relevance kick. Like, we don't want to do Green Lantern, Green Arrow with it. We do anything like that, it has to be done intelligently and not necessarily waving a red flag. These things have to be done with sensitivity and brains. Instead of making it a big splashy propaganda poster on the front saying, torn from today's headlines. It's distasteful.
Well, and I think it's safe to say that in this day and age of like internet feedback, if you had done that today, people would have lost their minds. So it's almost good that you did it when you did it, so that people, had to process it as they read it. Oh, just doing a female Robin. I mean, nowadays people freak out over the littlest thing when something gets changed.
Is it like the internet is the Tower of Babel? You ignore it.
Brian,
is it Marvel like changing a lot of their?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, all their characters.
Is that what this
all
question
their characters
is like coming from? So I don't follow.
Marvel's introduced a new series called Crisis of Infinite Sexes, and all their characters reverse the gender.
Thank you for the question.
Klaus, did you have something you wanted to add? You look like you were about to say something.
Just in a very general way, I think it's important to go forward and not backward.
Right.
We need to go forward. We need to be progressive and not retreat back to a period of time when we can discriminate and be prejudicial against people.
All right. Thank you.
This is a question for everyone. Like, well, in all of your books, whether it's Dark Knight or your personal works, you do a lot of like the interior monologues and kind of getting to the head of the characters. Like, what is your process when you get in that character and finding their like thought process?
For me, I'll often start with that. Like I had I started Sin City with the premise that every character had a car, a gun, and a guilty secret. But because I was always in love with hard-boiled crime novels, like Raymond Chandler and Mickey Spillane, I adopted their style of narrative to tell my stories in Sin City. Before that, I had done it in Dark Knight and other things. But I've always enjoyed that, and I like that aspect of comic books, the first-person narrative rather than the third person. When I first came into comics, it was pretty much all third person. So God was telling every story.
Thank you. Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I agree with Frank pretty much. I mean, I've done third person. 100 Bullets there was no narrator. It was just, and I think it's in a lot of ways, without the internal monologue, it makes you a very disciplined storyteller, because you need to be able to first of all, you need a great artist, because you need to be able to convey what these people are thinking by their action and what they don't say. So
when I was with Daredevil, it's like I was chasing an impossible dream of doing as much without words as I possibly could, and I found out that because I was so much in love with the Japanese comics, particularly because of Kojima's stuff and Lone Wolf and Cub. And the problem I found, first of all, was that I didn't have 250 pages to work with, but also that there was no way to stop. There was no way to slow the reader down as much as I wanted to. And so it began. I started to much more judiciously use the words.
All right, I think we have
like internal monologue works for me during fights, because people don't talk to each other when they're fighting. So that's when I use it. Yeah.
But you don't think that much when you fight either.
No, you don't.
Okay, I think we have time for one or two more, so let's go right here.
So am I the last one? No pressure.
Is there anybody behind you? Then you're the last one.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi. So speaking of spoilers and the last page of the book, how hard is it for you to keep those secrets and spoilers to yourself from friends and family? I personally can't even not tell someone what I got them for Christmas. So, or do people really leave you alone and kind of respect the creative process? But just in general, what is that like for you? And just to not make a little witty comment here or there and have someone go, does that mean dun dun dun?
Well, I got an answer for that. The first thing I do when I make a story is I write the ending. So I've got it. I mean, I fix on an ending, and I've only varied from that ending once or twice in my whole career.
Yeah, I start with the ending too. And as far as this, what you're talking about, the last page in this one, we were running kind of hot. We were running real close to the deadline, and the page count was getting a little high. And I had this page in my mind. You know what? I'm just going to throw it in there and see. Because Andy was like, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done. And I was like, well, it's gonna up the page count, but just throw it in and see what it says.
Yeah, when I read the script, I didn't care about the deadline at that time, you know. I saw this and I go, I'm drawing it. And you're right.
Deadlines, this is Dark Knight.
Yeah.
When I drew out that page, I took it down, took it off my desk, I ran down and showed my wife. For me to keep a secret like that, although my wife said she's going to keep her mouth shut, she's over there. But it's really, really, when you have something like that, want to share it, you know, especially with something like this.
So the real question is, how is Teresa able to keep this a secret?
She's good at it. That's what, we've been married for 31 years, so you know. She's very good at it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, I promised the young lady that we would come back to it. So, knowing what you know now in your lives, if you had to go back and tell your younger self when you first got into this business, give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be for each of you?
For me, I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change a thing. You, in this business, and my father told me this, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to do from one day to the next. And it's not only exciting, but it's a pleasure. It's so much fun. It's not a job. It's unreal. I would, honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. There's things that I would go back and I would want to redraw, definitely. A lot of crappy stuff that I've done. but you know, no, I would go about it the same way.
You know, for me, you know, to be, you know, honest and not flippant about it, I would tell my younger self to take more vacations. I work way too hard.
Brian?
I'd tell myself to relax.
That's right.
You know, just relax. It's not, yeah. What are you getting so worked up?
I try telling myself that, it doesn't work.
I tell myself when you make a big mistake, to just get back up and stop feeling sorry for yourself, because you're gonna make so many damn mistakes that you know, torturing yourself just makes your life longer and more painful.
Yeah, if I may say, just to you know, my mantra in my later years, in these later years, is simply, everything's going to be fine. Everything is going to be okay. And that's what I would tell you.
But it's not, Klaus.
That's what you tell yourself.
Well,
something very terrible is about to happen.
Admittedly, we live in interesting times, but however, that would be my advice to you guys too. Everything's going to be okay. You know,
it's already too late.
We're just worrying about it. It's over.
This is why we get along so
It's already too late.
Well, I don't think I need to tell you guys, but we're just a couple weeks away. Be sure to pick up issue 9 at your local comic shop, support your local comic retailer. And I want to give a giant hand to Andy Kubert, Klaus Jansen, Brian Azzarello, and Greg Frank.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody.